The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney wants to tell us through these quotes, it's the best motivational business quotes for success in businesses. Don't talk. There are people who either dream or talk but never do, but there are few who only do and show. They never waste time talking. If you are of the second category, then you are already a well-determined business individual or an entrepreneur. If you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time. Steve Jobs, to tell us through these quotes, there is no such thing called overnight success in business. Everything you see is a result of working hard for a long haul. Do one thing every day that scares you. Eleanor Roosevelt wants to tell us through these quotes, one of the reasons we like to read motivational business quotes is to help us to come out of our comfort zone to achieve success. Try something every day that you never imagined you will have to try. If you are not willing to risk the usual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. Jim Rohn wants to tell us through these quotes, business is all about risks, and if you don't risk the usual, meaning if you don't risk something you don't want to, then you will have settled for something you don't have to. Stop chasing the money and start chasing the passion. Tony C. wants to tell us through these quotes, most of the young and budding entrepreneurs take up a business to earn money only. But it is not always money that brings you success. The most important thing that matters more than money is the answer to the question, why are you into this industry? That defines passion. And passion is what drives you and your team and your company to success. And money is just a byproduct of working hard on your passion. Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Winston Churchill wants to tell us through these quotes, it is quite common in our motivational business quotes list that failure is a step to success, is what the above quote explains. So, if you are a perfect person, you will learn from your failure, and then you build upon your failures, which make and acts as a bridge to success. Try not to become a man of success. Rather become a man of value. Albert Einstein wants to tell us through these quotes, a man who strives for success always settles for a little. Because he limits himself for a certain goal, that when reached he is likely to feel at home. But a man who cares about values always works hard to keep up the pride of his company, his people, and himself. Values are the foundation for a successful career, or a foundation for a successful company. If at all you don't care about values, you may become a billionaire. But you wouldn't have a good reputation, people won't respect you. And ultimately you, and the lack of value education will be the reason for your downfall. The road to success and the road to failure are almost exactly the same. Colin R. Davis wants to tell us through these quotes, if you start working and applying your idea and started with full excitement and set your goals, found your team, and started working towards your goal, then you are likely to achieve your goal faster. But if you do all the above said tasks, except working hard for the goal, and you sit idle and forget about your goals, you will end up being a failure. So, it is obvious that both success and failure lie within a single road. The vehicle you choose to go there decides your future. It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Herman Melville wants to tell us through these quotes, The most important of all the facts whenever you own a business, or you just starting a business, and a bitter truth. Yes, if you only have a blooming idea that was never taught off before, you succeed in this world of a rat race. Imitating a business may most of the times cause you nothing but troubles. Instead, come up with an idea or a business plan that solves problems of a humongous crowd. Then apply it, and you will see the craze for your product and respect of your company gradually increasing. And if you are not capable of doing so, then it is better to quit rather than copying someone else's idea. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill wants to tell us through these quotes, business is all about being courageous and optimistic, seeing the future. One should always remember that, once you get into the industry, you should never expect instant overnight success. The struggle you put in as a startup is what makes you a successful business person. And success is not everything. There is another world beyond success. Failure is not the end. In the meantime, what makes you a successful businessman is the courage you put in every single time attempt to make an impossibility a possibility. Play by the rules, but be ferocious. Phil Knight wants to tell us through these quotes, the brand that gave us "just do it" qualifies that tagline, which always felt a bit broad, to include boundaries. You can't just do it without regard to the rules, as Knight clearly states. Those rules are what level the playing field and protect fair competition. But rules have nothing to do with the passion in which you play within them. Business opportunities are like buses, there's always another one coming. Meaning of this quote is, Branson's Virgin has proven that from record labels to airlines, where there is a will there is a way. The door isn't always open, but sometimes it's ajar, or the key is on the floor. All you must do is pick it up and turn the lock. Basically, the right environment for success ebbs and flows, but a keen business person is never passive. Every problem is a gift. Without problems we would not grow. Anthony Robbins wants to tell us through these quotes, the idea that one can go through life without conflict or issues arising is unrealistic. Some might dream of a frictionless ride through the world as the ideal journey, but without some form of pushback, growth is impossible. It is these problems that we face which build our character, engage our creativity, and build humility. You only have to do a few things right in your life, so long as you don't do too many things wrong. Warren Buffett wants to tell us through these quotes, the idea of right and wrong is a construct, of course, and it might feel overly simplistic to suggest that making the right choices will smooth the path forward. But the famous investor is merely noting, with this business quote, that avoiding a wrong decision is as important as making the right one. Avoiding bad decisions is aided, of course, with careful planning. There's no shortage of remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them. The meaning behind the quote, writer and former .com businessman, Godin is saying that talk is cheap, but in a nicer way. Yes, ideas are a dime a dozen, but the real meat on those bones comes from trying to realize them. It is only then that the problems show up and the real work of resolving them starts. I don't know the word quit. Either I never did, or I have abolished it. Susan Butcher wants to tell us through these quote, she's not being literal, but rather exaggerating to make a point. There comes a time in everyone's life where the idea of just throwing in the towel is attractive. You're exhausted. The obstacles feel insurmountable. But those who can reject the idea of quitting and tap an unforeseen reservoir are usually those who cross the finish line. The real test is not whether you avoid this failure, because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into an action, or whether you learn from it, whether you choose to persevere. Barack Obama wants to tell us through these quote, the president knows a lot about failure and success. The Affordable Health Care Act was more than once dead in the water, but the president didn't give up. He compromised, he convinced, and he labored, but not once did he allow himself to become embittered. Forget past mistakes. Forget failures. Forget everything. Accept what you're going to do now and do it. William Durant wants to tell us through these quote, there is only the present, so the enlightened ones tell us, and we cannot allow ourselves to become tied to the past or enchanted by the future. There is only the here and now. We must concentrate on that and act. This quote doesn't reject the lessons of the past or the plans for the future, but we only have this moment, so do your best in it. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Albert Einstein wants to tell us through these quote, you'll have noticed that often one inspirational quote contradicts the next. That's because it is in these paradoxes that real wisdom is born. There is never just one way to look at something, and with perspective comes opportunity. Ideas might be nothing without execution, but without those ideas the execution is empty. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller wants to tell us through these quote, people should take failure as a badge of honor. It's a crucible that burns things down to their essence and shows us what we're really made from. If the path to success was clear, then everyone would be won it, and success would lose all meaning. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. Albert Schweitzer wants to tell us through these quote, many people have it backwards, struggling to achieve success in order to feel good about themselves. But the irony is that it's in the doing, not the goal, where the happiness resides. Even if you fail at your enterprise, if you enjoy the process, then you'll be happy. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thomas Edison wants to tell us through these quote, the famous story about Edison and the incandescent light bulb, which took thousands of tries to find a filament that would burn but not extinguish, is proof to the pudding of his statement. You just never know what's around the corner until you get there. I feel that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. Oprah Winfrey wants to tell us through these quote, we spoke of luck as a crucial element to any success. There are always those forces beyond our control, but there are also those forces which are within our ability to regulate. If opportunities are rare, then one must be ready for them when they come in order to take advantage. That might not be the definition of luck, but it does feel like good fortune. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Vidal Sassoon wants to tell us through these quote, it's a funny way to look at things, but there's truth in the fact that success is not something we are handed. It is something we must work at. Success is an inheritance. While we might get handed great wealth, power, and prestige, it's what we do with it that counts. The only way around is through. What the great America poet, Robert Frost, is saying is that there is no way to avoid what must be done. We cannot go around the difficulties in our life or business but face them head on and work through them. Just having the courage to do that is the hallmark of success. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, then motivate me by like this video and subscribe my channel so that I can make more videos like this and keep you inspired and knowledgeable.